What is going on, guys? Welcome in to another edition of Huskers Live. What do we call this? Transfer portal continues to haunt us edition.
Yeah.
Welcome in, guys. Thank you to Brian for holding it down on the call-in show last week while we had the fights going on at the gym. So I appreciate him holding it down per usual. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. If you're new here, drop a like, subscribe to the channel. And let us know your thoughts in the comment section as we go along with the stream. We'll be getting to those kind of as we go through here. First off, Brian, how you doing today, man?
I'm on Christmas break, so I'm doing pretty damn good. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Justin likes the new intro. So shout out to
scramble last minute to replace the music.
Shout out to your buddy. Do you want to shout him out real quick?
Yes, his name is Aiden on Twitter. Let me get his actual Twitter handle real quick. But he did our last intro. He did this one as well. His Twitter handle is AID William X. That's what he does. He's a graphic designer. So appreciate him putting that work for us.
We had to remove some Mr. Raiola for obvious reasons. The transfer portal giveth and still taketh away. So I guess we could start there. Let's just go ahead and start with the portal news. Of course, we lost Marcos Davila. That's kind of the big quarterback news. Nebraska's really going to be struggling coming into the bowl game at the quarterback position. So, yeah, give us a little insight of that.
Yeah, so we're down to one scholarship quarterback, which is a concern. And on top of that, he's limping to the finish line is a way to put it. So I think Marcos will be there for the bowl game, but
he'll be there.
Not going to play. Yeah. And then Jaleb Gramstad will be available. But if you think back to like June, July, and you're looking at your quarterback room, you go, man, we got Dylan, we got TJ, we got a developmental guy in Marcos, we got Trey coming in, we got Dayton coming in, and now literally every single one of those guys is gone except for TJ and Trey. It is just a wild turn of events that college football is right now. But this goes back to many conversations we've had about Nebraska changing their offense with more running quarterback. He clearly is not a mobile quarterback, clearly is not a fit for our offense. Nebraska's going all in, though. They need to take two quarterbacks no matter what through the portal. Yep. One developmental guy, and in my opinion, you have to have a proven starter. Whether that's Aiden Childs is debatable. We'll get to him in a minute, but I think you have to go out and get a bona fide starter at the very least, personally.
Yep. And just kind of running through some of the, departures from the Nebraska football program. I was able to find the Daily Nebraskan has kind of a list of guys here. So, of course, we lost Caden Vermas early, Jamarian Parker on December 8th, Dylan Raiola December 15th, Hartzog December 19th, Maverick Noonan on December 21st, and then, of course, on Monday, today, losing Alvano and Davila. Yesterday, losing Alvano and Davila and Roger Gradney. So, not a mass exodus by any stretch, but just definitely at a position of need right now, dire position of need, which had me kind of thinking. I was just kind of thinking back to last offseason and just kind of, I don't know, man. It's hard coming into this offseason because I just feel, the excitement that we kind of felt last offseason, the optimism going into it, knowing that I felt like we were in a good position to attack some needs. Coming off of that, we had Raiola, who was going to be going into year 2, going into year 3, Matt Rule. You knew they were going to kind of go for it. We were coming off of that, Dana Holgerson coming in and not lighting up the scoreboard against Iowa, but really putting some good offensive performances out on the field to end the season. It's just been really hard so far this offseason to really be like optimistic about next season. Coming in this season, we knew we had the favorable schedule. I don't know if you're kind of feeling that same thing where it's just like there's just this kind of like lull. I almost feel like in my heart with this program right now. And it's just kind of it's a weird spot to be in going into year 4.
I 100% agree. Typically we were talking about the offseason national champions that we are, and it's going to take a lot of selling right now, which Coach Rule is pretty good at, but it also depends on what they do in the portal this year. But you've got to revamp both offense and defensive line, and that's going to cost you probably $3 to $4 million per line at minimum. I don't know how much money we really have to play around with. I was actually looking at the roster either today or maybe it was last night, and I saw a lot of young talent. It is their time. They've got to step up. There is no better time than next season because Nebraska's probably taken 10 to 15 guys through the portal, maybe 13 or so. But yeah, I'm not overly excited as things sit right now for 2026.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just hard because I feel like there's no I felt like, coming out of the 2023 or 2024 into 2025, you had something to build off of the offense where you could sell the offense, kind of like,
Yeah.
we had Marcus Satterfield for most of this season. Now we got Holgerson. Look what we were able to put on film. We could recruit some offensive guys.
Mm-hmm.
Now it just, like you said, it seems like it's going to be kind of a hard sell and just having to revamp as much as we have to revamp and then having the uncertainty of the quarterback. I think that's another aspect of it too, is like you for sure had your guy quarterback, and now you don't, and it requires so much money to get a quarterback, and it requires so much to reinforce your trenches, and you're just looking at this roster right now, and it's like there's just I mean, no offense to anybody on it, there's not a lot to just be excited about that this stands out. Like, we just need this piece and this piece to make this a championship roster. It just seems like there's holes across the board. And I think that's the unfortunate side of things.
Yeah, not to get too off topic, but within that same conversation, a little going into year 4 and how many holes there are on the roster, like my red flag is waving in the air. Like, what the heck is going on? Because you have defensive tackle deficiencies. You have a linebacker deficiency. Your entire secondary outside of Andrew Marshall is incredibly young and inexperienced. Rex Guthrie struggled, but redshirt freshman. You're losing Malcolm Hartzog, which I don't think is a huge loss, but it does hurt because he had a lot of experience.
Yeah.
The offensive line has holes. Your running back room is basically 2 freshmen right now, and that's it. Well, 3, Connor Booth, really, and you have 1 quarterback. And now in 2 or 3 weeks, we'll probably have 1 or 2 more quarterbacks to add to that discussion. But that leads me to believe it's a guy like Aiden Childs.
Mm-hmm.
And think back to last portal season.
You may need a guy like
I guess. Yeah. We had Isaiah Hunter. We had Dane Key, who said they came here to play with Dylan.
Yeah.
Are you going to get that same return on a guy like Aiden Childs or Caden Hauser that say, I want to come and play with them? Because you're going to have at least 1, maybe 2 portal entries at wide receiver. One of them will probably be a starter.
Yeah.
And you're going to have to replace that.
Yeah. And I guess we can kind of move, over to what the quarterback room. If y'all see me moving around a lot today, I move around a lot as it is, but I have a pinched nerve in my neck and I am in extreme pain and there's numbness and tingling down my arm. So if y'all see me moving around in discomfort, that's why. I took a lot of ibuprofen, but I am going through it right now. I am in so much pain. Pinched nerve in my neck. It's like shooting all down the back of my neck, down my arm, and like my hand.
That's brutal.
Oh, it's been rough, dude. I guess we can move over to that. So let's talk a little bit about Aiden Childs and kind of the prospect of him potentially coming here. Give the people a little update on the Aiden Childs situation.
Well, he's going to be visiting next weekend, so it'll be the bowl game on the 31st. They'll get back to Lincoln on the 1st. The portal will open on the 2nd, and Aiden Childs is expected to be here the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, or like 1 or 2 of those days between the 2nd and the 4th. He is appearing on the surface to be your front runner. He is appearing to be their guy that they want to bring in to compete with TJ, because I don't know if he's that much better than TJ. But also from a financial standpoint, you and I were talking about this. We've talked about it a lot. Do you go and get a guy that's $4 million, or do you get a guy that's maybe $1 to $2 million, or maybe $2.5 million, and you spend a lot of money in the trenches? To me, the early names we're hearing indicate that that's the route they're going, the latter option of let's do $1.5 to $2 million on a quarterback, bring in a third guy like a Jalen Gramstad replacement, build our trenches. And I'm not opposed to that. My reason being is we've been getting killed by programs who don't have good quarterback play but win in the trenches. But this is also going to depend heavily on rebuilding said trenches that have been a problem for a decade, and also getting a complementary back that pairs nicely with Isaiah Mosey or with Mekhi Nelson for next season. There's a lot of moving pieces to make getting a guy like Aiden Childs work. It also comes in, like, if you lose Barney, for example, which seems entirely possible, who can you get from the portal to be an impact player like that? Does Cortez Mills step up, or does Quinn Clark step up next season? There's just a lot of moving parts on that offense that have to work to make Aiden Childs work, in my opinion. So it's a little risky.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing you talked about is if you're going to go with the quarterback like that, you definitely have to design a system around him that's going to play to his strengths, because, he's not going to be a guy that you're going to be able to run the same system as you ran with Raiola. But I think, and another thing too, that makes me wonder, Holgorsen, one of the reasons that he said he came here, because he saw what a quarterback Dylan was too. So that's another thing too, is just to know, as Holgorsen, does he handpick this quarterback, and how's that? And is it somebody that he wants to run his system? He's going to end up with somebody who wants to run a system. But I think you talked about it. We just need somebody who complements him well, and is going to. We don't need necessarily to mold. I don't think we can rebuild this offense into what they want it to be. I just think whatever quarterback we end up with, that we have to mold it around that, and kind of design it. Holgorsen sees best, which is a little scary in a way, because again, at that point, when you start building around a quarterback, then you kind of have to potentially reset. You don't have the players to stand, with another quarterback. But the problem is, or the good thing is, that both of those guys are dual threat. Just TJ might be a better thrower of the football. They can.
Yeah, I was looking through his stats.
They can both play off each other's games. Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, looking through his stats, the last 2 years, he's completing about 62% of his passes, 23 touchdowns, 14 interceptions.
Better than Jeff Sims.
Yeah, certainly better than Jeff Sims. Very comparable to Dylan Raiola, actually, in terms of a touchdown to interception ratio. A little bit better because he doesn't fumble as much as Dylan did. But I understand he was hurt last year. I understand Michigan State absolutely sucked. They were a disaster. And how much of his poor play was a result of what was around him? And also, do we have better skill talent around him? Because Marsh, their best receiver, is probably better than any receiver we had.
Yeah.
So
now in that game, albeit they did against us, they had a bunch of drops,
and I know that game he played terrible, but Dylan Raiola also played terrible. So did pretty much anyone trying to throw the ball except their backup. Because if I'm not mistaken, Nebraska had 19 yards in a span of 30 plays at one point in that game. It was like 30-mile-an-hour winds, so the weather conditions weren't great. But also, that's the reality of playing in Memorial Stadium in the Midwest.
You got to throw the
in
ball
October, November. That happened. You're going to get that consistently.
You got to be able to throw the ball in the wind, 100%. Yep, and I think the biggest thing is probably that excites me about him, of course, is just his ability to create, because we're probably not going to have a great offensive line next year. So I think you have to get a guy. Yeah. I think you have to get a guy who can play off script and create like this. I think you have no choice unless you have a surefire plan at the offensive line. But there's no surefire plan in the transfer portal, because it's a crapshoot who you're going to get. So.
Yeah, his mobility in the pocket is really good, but his ability to keep his eyes downfield and throw accurately on the move is actually better than I think most people believe. He's not a guy that's going to rush for 500 yards next season if he plays at Nebraska, but if you can get 200 or 300 out of him, that's pretty solid. That's good backup running back numbers for the sake of discussion. So I would certainly take that, but again, you have to go out and get some dudes on the O-line. You're seeing a lot of Lonnie Teasley's players from South Carolina in the portal now. All of them are starters. You saw a couple from Georgia Tech enter the portal. That's Jeep Wade's players. Mm-hmm. Can Nebraska get some of those guys to bring over and help, lock down that front five and give us some time to throw the ball and give us some running lanes? Because, as good as Emmett looked last year, you got to take into consideration, he was getting hit before getting to the line of scrimmage. A lot of the time. and his yards came because he's a damn good running back.
Correct. And we're going to need some guys like that. We're going to need some guys who have familiarity with these coaches so we can get some of these guys on a discount that want to come play with some of these coaches, you know, because we're going to be able to pay a top dollar for all these guys. Although we were top 10 in the revenue. I don't know if you saw that, but
it was like $1.06 billion.
Yeah, it's crazy money, dude.
We're ahead of Oregon.
That's crazy. That's crazy to think about. Anything else on Aiden Childs?
No, I just
move forward.
I wouldn't expect him to commit when he visits. I think Nebraska is certainly going to have feelers out for multiple guys. Plus, there's a guy that I'm expecting to enter the portal now that Nico Amaliva, or however you say his name, signed his new deal with UCLA. But we'll get to him later.
Let's go ahead and talk about a couple of the other guys they were talking about earlier. So you want to start with who? Mason McKenzie? Who do you want to start with?
We can, we'll roll with Mason McKenzie. This would be your Jalen Graham dad.
I'll be right back. I'm going to grab some Tylenol.
Okay, you're good. So, one guy we had previously discussed before going live was Mason McKenzie. This would be your Jalen Gramstad 2.0, in my opinion. He's worth, putting a flyer out for to see what you can get from him. He's a D2 quarterback at, what school is it again? Saginaw Valley. Yeah, Saginaw Valley State. So Nebraska has been kind of kicking the tires with him a little bit. But again, this is not going to be a guy you're expecting to come in and compete for a job right away. He'd be certainly just for depth purposes. He's getting some power 4 attention or power 2 attention. Boston College, no, they're not in the power 4. They're in the power 2, or they're not in power 2, they're in power 4. But Boston College is kind of kicking the tires on him. You're seeing a lot of group of 5 schools kicking the tires on him. Worth monitoring as a guy. Hopefully Nebraska, if they can bring someone like him in, it's going to be super cheap. Hopefully not costing us anything at all. But the big one that we want to talk about is Caton Hauser. So that's the one I'm watching the most personally. Not incredibly athletic, very similar to Childs in the sense that he can escape the pocket, has good mobility, but he's not going to be a guy that runs for 300, 400 yards a season. Really good passer. He's from East Carolina, I believe is where he's from. Nebraska's definitely done some digging behind the scenes on Caton Hauser. So I think by probably end of next week or early, probably the 5th or 6th, you'll probably see something about where Nebraska stands with Caton Hauser and his recruitment, because I think he's going to be someone that picks up more attention as the portal goes on and as we kind of see where the chips fall with other quarterbacks that are in the transfer portal currently. But last season, he completed 66% of his passes, 3,300 yards, 19 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions. Rushing statistics, like I said, it's not going to be anything that blows your doors off. But a couple games, he had like 11 or 12 rushes for 50 or 60 yards. So certainly mobile enough to kind of help you in that run game a little bit. Only has 352 yards rushing on his entire career. The last 2 years combined being the bulk of that.
Let me ask you, who do you feel that is probably number one in your wish list in terms of just overall value? Not necessarily the best player, but the best value that you think gives us an opportunity to fix our roster up the best as well.
I saw it from one of the comments right here. Alonzo Barnett III from JMU.
Yep.
6 foot, 220 pounds, really good runner. Not a great thrower by any stretch. Probably very comparable to a guy like Tommy Armstrong.
Yeah.
Which I wouldn't mind at this point because he was an absolute dog.
Tommy's a winner.
Yeah.
You don't have to, it doesn't have to look the prettiest, man, as long as they can come out and make plays. That's all you need to be able to do.
Yeah. I thought even though JMU got absolutely smashed by what'd they play again? Oregon? Yeah.
Oregon.
Yeah. I thought he looked pretty good considering what's around him. They have really good skill talent at JMU. They have really bad offensive line though. But on the season, 2,800 yards, 23 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. That's pretty damn good numbers if you're asking me in terms of his rushing. 600 yards rushing, 15 touchdowns. This is an ideal guy for Nebraska.
Yeah.
And that's why I said earlier, Nico Amaliva signing with UCLA again. My wait and see approach was because if he didn't sign, Nebraska was probably going to go after Nico Now that Nico is staying, I expect Alonza to hit the portal. Nebraska should be lining up with a Brinks truck, honestly, for him and say, $2 million, here you go. Come in and be your starter. 1 year left. This would be perfect to help TJ take a redshirt year.
I agree. Yeah, because you do need a guy who has the ability to, like I said, it doesn't have to be a perfect polished passer. You just need a guy who can come in and make some plays, extend, some plays in the pocket. Because again, we're going to have somewhat of a patchwork offensive line. We don't know what it's going to look like. We don't know what we're going to look like the skill player position. So we're just going to have to have a playmaker who can come in and create plays. And I think I trust him over Aiden Giles for sure. Because again, just Aiden Giles, we've seen him at the Big Ten level too, and I think it's another thing too is you get this guy coming from a lower level up, and you kind of see what he's capable of with some better athletes. We've seen what Aiden Childs is capable of with a pretty decent receiver core. They got some athletes on that receiver core, and so it's hard to get excited about that. So yeah, I agree with you. I think that would be a perfect. And the problem with more of a pocket passer guy like your Hausers of the world, stuff like that are going to stand in the pocket more. It's going to be tough sledding for those guys going in the next season. So yeah, need a guy who can move around, extend the plays, extend the pocket a little bit. And I think Holgorsen can work well off of that. It works kind of right into what he wants to do,
Yeah.
So let's see. Was there any other quarterbacks that we wanted to touch on potentially?
There's one more from Boston College that
Dylan, yeah.
I know Nebraska is at least kind of vetting, I guess is the way to put it. Yeah. I'll be curious to see how far they take this recruitment with him, because from a statistical standpoint, you look at it and you're like, oh boy, this is not great. But
yeah,
he signed with Alabama. He had 1 year starting at Boston College. That was his past season, completed 67% of his passes for 2,000 yards, 12 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. It's 2-1. It's not bad. From a rushing standpoint, you look at the number, and it's negative 16 yards on his career. It was negative 37 yards rushing for the season. I don't worry about that, because in college, if you get sacked, it counts as a rush, and you take the yards out of the total. On his actual rush attempts, he had 21 attempts for 150 yards at 7.2 yards per carry. He also rushed for 1,400 yards in high school. He's more mobile than you think. I would say a Joe Gans mobility would be a comp where you're not worried about him running, but he can scoot it a little bit. It's a little surprising when you see him
scoot. Move in the pocket a bit. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't see why, you couldn't bring him in. I mean, again, a lot of this depends on who else they get, because you're not going to go get him and have him be your primary quarterback, because he's only a sophomore. He's got 2 years left. So you'd be looking at him as like a developmental piece that maybe starts for 1 year after the other quarterback you bring in. But he's not going to leave Boston College to sit the bench at Nebraska.
100%. Yeah.
So it's really, I wouldn't dig too much deep into it until we see how things pan out with Aiden Childs and Caden Hauser.
He's going to be a fallback plan. Yeah, he's going to be a fallback plan. If we don't think those guys are going to land, that's who we're probably going to pivot to, somebody like that for sure.
Yeah.
So, all right. Anybody else on the quarterback side of things before we move over to recruiting a little bit?
No, we're good there.
All right. Let's slide over to recruiting, and let's go ahead and start with, I guess, the biggest name, Mont Hudson.
Yeah, what's going on with Ahmad Hudson? Has anybody been on Twitter lately? I feel like
I don't think so. I haven't heard anything. He might be coming back out for a visit.
He is coming back out. He's coming back out January 31st through the 2nd. He'll be here.
Yep.
I would not be shocked if he doesn't leave Lincoln committed by then, if not before. In fact, I don't have it confirmed, but there is a little intel floating around that it might be he might pop a commitment here this week. That
would be nice.
I'm not going to report that as fact. I'm just going to report that as it's something I've heard as a possibility, but not 100%. So we're clarifying that now. So if it doesn't happen, people can't be like, "Oh, you said he was going to commit this week." No, it's possible. It's a little birdie floating around that it's entirely possible.
Yeah.
but we're the favorites. I mean, that's pretty obvious. I feel like at this point, he's come out and even said Nebraska's the leader.
Best fit for him.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah. Recruited as two-sport athlete.
Yeah, we're recruiting him as a tight end and a small forward. He can make an impact on both sports.
Big time.
I mean, he's a high-level basketball player. He's borderline a 5-star in both sports.
Yes.
And he's a guy that on the tight end room, specifically from a football standpoint, he could play right now.
100%.
At Nebraska. Like he'd be Luke Lindenmeyer and Ahmad Hudson.
Yes.
And Mac Markway if he's healthy. I mean, he's that good.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that comes in and like he's an athlete that can just make, those athletes that come in. It's we got like a Ja'Cory Barney who makes your wide receiver core very good, but then there's those athletes that are special that can make your whole offense just like the way I guess Travis Kelce makes the Chiefs offense so much better just because of how yeah, or just one guy you can point to that is like this guy could literally boost the offense to a level that like we need that game changer, that program change. I think the program changing player is kind of overused. But he's an athlete in every sense of the word. When you can be that highly rated at multiple sports, like that is just a pure athlete. And then just what they're able to do with them. And again, he's a guy who's looking for a team that fits what he wants to do and fits him as a person. And he's said Nebraska checks those boxes for him. So I think he's a guy who can come in and honestly change his program. Just because of we have, how long has it been since we had a pure athlete that just you look to and the defense is circling them on the depth chart. That's the type of player he is.
Outside of quarterback.
Yeah, outside of quarterback. Yeah.
Yeah. The last one would be probably Amir.
Yeah. And even
then you had a lot of athletes around him too that were good.
Yeah, exactly. So Ahmad just that guy that can come in and really, and not only that, give you a lot more momentum for this recruiting class, because then people will still kind of see, because Nebraska had that recruiting momentum and they were winning games, and then we kind of got a little worried because we went on that little cold streak. Raiola's leaving the program, kind of lost some of that momentum. I think that would be a momentous kind of get there as well in terms of the big picture of the overall eyes of recruiting as well.
What's really helped Nebraska too, because Louisiana kids typically, that's where he's from, right? Ruston, Louisiana. I drew a blank, but I'm pretty sure he's from Louisiana. They typically don't
hometown on my notes, but
yeah, I believe it's where he's from. But they typically don't leave that area. Like you're typically going to LSU. Yeah, he's from Ruston, Louisiana.
The Cajun food's too good, bro. I'm from Beaumont, so I'm from down that area. You don't want to leave.
Verify, yeah.
Food's too good down there.
We have a local Louisiana seafood truck up here where I live, and it's freaking phenomenal.
It's the best food.
But we digress. But the LSU coaching change has helped Nebraska a lot because it allowed Nebraska to continue to recruit at such a high level, or communicating with him almost every single day, where LSU was kind of in this weird transition with coaching changes happening. And Nebraska not only was in first at that point, but it kind of helped them pull ahead. Also, relationships are really important. He's talked about that openly.
Very much, yeah.
You see how close he is with Trey Taylor. You see how close he is with Tay Ellis, Amir Brown, Matt Erickson, you name it, from this 2027 recruiting class. Add in his relationship with the coaches. That's what I think wins out.
Right.
If Nebraska gets his commitment, which at this point I've already put in my pick for Nebraska to land it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I think Nebraska in the driver's seat there. And just like I said, I think the biggest thing it does for us, not only just getting such a good player, but the momentum it does for this recruiting class and moves forward for this recruiting class. Yeah, it's gonna be extremely helpful. So Ahmad Hudson, keep an eye on him. Again, he's visiting 31st through 1st or the 2nd. First of December, exactly.
One of the two.
We're
about to hit the 30-minute echo somewhere.
Yeah, we're echoing right when I start echoing. All right, we hit our 30-minute echo, guys. He's going to pop back in here in just a second, and then we'll dive into some of your comments after we do a couple more recruits here. Next one, do you want to go to Xavier Balla or Berryman?
Let's do Xavier Balla, just because he's a 2027 guy like Hudson, and we'll finish up with Berryman.
Okay. Xavier Bala, guy is getting some steam towards Nebraska, some crystal balls coming in for Nebraska land him. Running back, powerful running back. But a guy that can make you miss on the outside, but he's just a boxer as well.
He actually won the King of New York.
It's my favorite part about him. He's a boxer. So
guess what? I've got film ready for him right now.
Yes, sir.
We can talk over while the film plays.
Yeah, so not a lot of top end speed, but can make guys miss in open space. And you just see him 215 pounds, I believe he's listed as. Again, I don't have his height.
215.
215 pounds. So a guy like, again, not a lot of top end speed, but you see him a lot on outside zone, but a guy who can just kind of run through you. And I think the pairing of him with Amir Brown, you get a guy who's like a one-cut running back with another guy like this who can also be a one-cut running back, but can also run through your face. I think that pairing is kind of exactly what they're looking for, especially in the Big Ten, because you get a couple guys who can start moving the line of scrimmage, moving the defensive line, but both of them can run around you or through you to an extent.
What I like is the lightning to the thunder.
That's the biggest thing about it, is like it's kind of what we wanted from Emmett and
Dante.
Dante. Yeah. It's that pairing, just kind of a younger version.
Now, he's only a 3-star on 247. In fact, they have him at 409th ranked nationally and 50th ranked running back. But On3 and Rivals are really high on him. They have him as a 4-star top 200 overall player, top 25 running back. And this would be my guess as to why. Junior year had 1,400 yards rushing and 26 touchdowns. His sophomore season, first year starting, 1,000 rushing yards and 9 touchdowns. He was a FBU freshman All-American. And then he went on the camp circuit and absolutely dominated. Under Armour Camp running back MVP, Navy All-American Combine MVP, U.S. Army Bowl Combine MVP, All-22 Camp MVP, FBU Top Gun Camp MVP, NXGN Camp MVP, and VTO Elite Camp MVP. And that was from the camp circuit for the last 18 months. That's incredibly impressive to go to all those camps and walk away with MVP honors.
100%. And that's one of the things that does give a lot of guys a leg up in recruiting battles. And one of the things that, like, I believe, held Fedoni back from getting his 5th star, he didn't camp a lot. And that visit goes a long way for these guys. And I believe he has an offer, if I'm not mistaken, offer from let me go back and look at his offer list before
I've got it right here, actually.
Yeah, so Ohio State, Bama. So you look at his offer.
I may have just recorded a video. That's why I have all this ready.
Gotcha. Yeah. So I thought I saw Ohio State and Alabama in there. I wasn't 100% sure, but I had to go back and look. But yeah, Ohio State and Alabama. So that's another indicator right there that you got a pretty good potential level of talent there. So getting
as well as Penn State.
Oh, Penn State's on there as well?
Yep. It's just not included in the screenshot.
Yeah. So I think that pairing is exactly what they're looking for. And I think it's a great kind of a perfect system running back duo for the Big Ten.
100%. In fact, I would compare like a freshman season impact for him, because at that point you'll have Jamal Rule here and you'll have Amir Brown as well, on top of Mosey, assuming all these guys stay, Mosey and Nelson and Connor Booth. But he can carve out a very unique role, because one downside of playing in the region he plays in is there's not a lot of great skill competition, or just competition in general, but also they don't throw it a ton because of the climate in New York is very cold and windy and whatnot. Not a lot of pass block experience, but that'll allow him to carve out a role where it's short yardage, it's goal line situations, it's when you want to get downhill and attack the middle of that defense. I have 3 names, and they're going to be names you haven't heard in a long time, for a comp for first year or freshman year expectation. Quentin Castile, going back to 2007, hit 340 yards. He was 6'1", 235.
Yep.
My favorite, Dontravius Robinson, who was here for 1 year. Loved Dontravius, 6'1", 225, had 200 and some odd yards rushing his freshman year. Amani Cross, 340 yards rushing.
That name was in my head as soon as you were talking about Amani Cross. because he was.
Those three guys would be great comps for first-year freshmen carving out a role like those guys.
Was so excited for Monty Cross too. So
I love the Monty Cross. I loved all three of them. I hate that Quinn Castile left and on Travius Robinson. I thought they'd be so good here.
Yeah, I did too. But I think those are great comparisons. Yeah, and it just kind of once you kind of look at the style that they're going towards. If you get that pair with Trey Taylor, I mean, honestly, the offensive recruiting, I'm loving the direction they're going with it, because it seems like they're trying to get away from the initial strategy of whatever they were trying to do. And the running back stay the same, where they're kind of looking for these dynamic guys, but they're recruiting a little bit kind of these bigger guys and these zone run guys, as opposed to guys who can just kind of make you miss in space. And we saw that pan out negatively because we didn't have any big bruising guys that really stuck around on the roster. Or, we did have Quentin Ives there for a little bit, but of course he got injured, and then you're stuck with you don't really have that big kind of running back. So I do like that they're recruiting to that, because you don't want to end up in that situation again. So,
granted, I'll give Emmett Johnson. He did a really good job in goal to go situations, but man, it'd be nice to have that 30-pound guy that can just blow up the middle.
You need it. You absolutely need it. All right. Yeah. Emmett Johnson's just ability to find creases just makes him so good no matter what. He didn't even need this. So, let's move over to an interesting side of the ball that has been kind of the bane of our existence over the last year, whether it be D-line coach or D-line in general. Let's move over to Dylan Berryman. He's a guy.
While we talk about him, guess what I also have?
Go ahead. What?
Film.
Perfect. Because this dude.
Oh, got to mute that.
We're not copyright. One of the things that we missed this year is a guy who could just fill up the gap. And he is a guy who can just fill up the gap. He's going to take some space.
Look at that bull rush.
Unbelievable. And yeah, we lacked size. We talked about all offseason. Cute Ohio State ripoff logo there, by the way.
Yeah, no kidding.
But this is a guy who can definitely just be able to come in and shore up a gap. And that's what we missed mightily, is a guy who can just plug up that middle. But not only that, this guy, of course, he can get off the ball. He can bull rush you, drive you backwards, good at attacking leverage. But yeah, if you could just refine some of his skills just with his, natural ability and his size, he could be a problem on the defensive line because he doesn't get moved backwards a lot.
Oh, he's huge. He's 6'1", 6'2", 330 pounds. He's just a mountain of a man. Look at him just throw that guy back. Watch this last clip too. I've already
perfect
watched
run
this.
stopper.
He literally. Oh, I don't have it on this one. I thought I did. He literally picks up a dude and throws him during a game. The running back.
Was that on the last play? I think it might have been the last play. Go back.
Oh yeah, it's this one right here.
I think it's this one. Yeah, it's this one right here.
Yeah, watch him with his running back. He sheds the block, picks him up, and just throws him to the ground.
Gently. Enough to not draw a penalty.
I got his recruiting profile too.
The guy who, if he was on this defensive line last year, they probably would have just put him on starting on the line just to plug that gap up. Like he's got the exact size that we were missing on this line this year. And again, he has a lot of the skills that you already want a guy having, coming out. Not only that, he knows how to use his size. I think that's the biggest thing about him is he's not just a big guy to fill up the gap. He knows how to use it to his advantage, and he knows how to use it well. He moves pretty well for a guy who's 330 pounds.
That's actually verbatim what my note says.
Yeah.
But as a recruit, look at another guy from Louisiana. Nebraska's dipping their toes in the Bayou State. They're going to pull this one out very likely. I would assume at this point. I've got my pick in for him as well for Nebraska. If you can go back-to-back years pulling one of the top players from the state of Louisiana, gosh, that would do a lot to get inroads into that state because it is a freaking D1 factory. They have Albert Seaman too that Nebraska's going after for a 2027 class, who's a 5-star offensive guard. But Dylan specifically, he's a top 100 overall recruit per 247, top 12 or top 15 defensive line. That goes for D tackles and D ends. So it tells you how good he is across the entire line. Composite score, he's a top 200 player, top 25 overall composite score. offer list is absolutely insane. And this is a rare 2026 find.
Yes.
Keep in mind, that's what I think we forgot to preface. He's a 2026 recruit.
So
he decommitted from Texas a while back, kind of reopened up his recruitment. Offer list is insane. Texas Tech, Texas, Florida, Houston, LSU, Miami. I mean, I can pull up the second sheet if you want. This guy has probably every SEC team after him. In fact, 247 Scout said he is a prototypical SEC defensive tackle. He's going to be playing in the Big Ten for the Big Red probably next season. Very likely. I'm not expecting him a late change to LSU, but I would very much be surprised if Nebraska doesn't land his commitment.
I agree. And exactly, again, just Nebraska doing a good job recruiting to fill some needs. Just wish they were going to be in the this year's class, to be honest. But
Dylan is.
Yeah. Dylan will be. Dylan will be. All right. Anything else on recruiting?
We covered all three, right?
Yep.
Dylan, yeah, we're good. That's all I got for recruiting.
All right, let's dive into some of the comments here. I got to work at Walgreens from 2 to 10 tomorrow. What goes anywhere after 6 on a Christmas Eve? Well, you're helping us out. I got to go pick up medication right after the show, actually. Never mind me. You'll be surprised. You'll be very busy. Yeah, everybody waits the last second to do stuff. Transfer portal, nothing but the trenches. I agree. We need linebacker, running back, and QB. Yes, a lot of needs to fill, but let's start in the trenches for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Red, appreciate y'all hopping in here. How clutch would it be to land Berrymon? Would be huge. Would be huge.
He's an instant impact guy. You're looking 5 to 15, 20 snaps a game.
You can immediately plug him in the middle. Yeah. It's better than him. That is true. It is better than hemorrhoids. I think. I don't know. At this point, we might be. At this point, the pain I'm in right now, I might prefer hemorrhoids. Media pumping up expectations for portal guys that fans will be disappointed if they don't spend insane bucks for starters. Why would any of the young guys stays if they're getting portaled over? I don't think this is any different than a normal year. Honestly, this is just kind of the world we live in now.
Yep.
Yeah, honestly, you got to talk about the portal needs. If it's Aiden Childs, I'm little, and that's the way it works. I mean, nowadays, like if you're going to get portaled over, it's you got to prove yourself. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You're all getting paid.
Yeah. So if it's Aiden Childs, I'm literally going to lose my Michigan State. I just want some physical line play on both sides of the ball. Go from there. We can win with a decent quarterback. I agree 100%. Kai Frazier. I don't have a problem with Childs. Better coaching, better production, competition. We just need quarterbacks, honestly. Our O-line needs to be a lot better for sure, but it's more about the coaching. O-line looked better with mobile quarterback, led the way for EJ. O-line wasn't good, but I don't think, I do think there's some truth to that statement. I'll be completely honest. I do think there's a lot of truth to that.
Donovan's a hell of a recruiter. I mean, we kind of forget the talent he brought in. He brought the #1 player from Hawaii 2 years in a row. He has a 4-star at pretty much every position right now in the second or third team.
Just couldn't bring the best out of him.
Yeah.
And I think we got fooled by a little bit of improvement, but that could have been because the guys he was bringing were so good, that they were just kind of improving little by little on their own. And then the year that we were expecting the jump, we just saw it wasn't there.
Yeah.
It comes down to him. So I think there's a lot of truth to that. Michigan State running back in the portal. Childs did beat Iowa in 2024.
Nebraska is actually one of the top 4 of the Michigan State running back. It's Nebraska, Ole Miss, and somebody else. So we should probably see him on a visit next week.
Nice.
Next weekend, to be specific.
So what you're saying is him and Childs are a package deal.
They could be. He rushed for 600 yards this past season.
I think we'll see some major defensive line improvements next year, seeing how badly that was Nebraska's weakness. I think there's only one way from here.
We need a coach first. Shit.
Yeah, true. Speaking of, we'll touch on that in just a second. After I dive through these comments, the Aiden Childs hate feels forced. It's not hate. It's just we're evaluating him as a quarterback, and he hasn't been great so far.
Yeah, he's been average.
I think he's a lot better than what everyone's sentiment is. I think he can be. I think the potential's through. I think he has potential like crazy. That's no secret. I liked, Aiden Childs early on in his career in terms of his potential. It just we got to see it. We're just based off of what we've seen on the field so far.
Physically looks like a freak athlete. he's the same size as Dylan, and they look like completely two different human beings.
100%. But also at the same time, so was Anthony Richardson.
Jeff Sims.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Put some dudes around. Now he's got Phillip Rivers started Indy. Put some dudes around Childs. I think we can get some wins, and he might not even beat TJ out. Who knows? I think there's a potential he could beat TJ out just based off of his experience alone. I think there's a good chance if he comes in, he can beat TJ out. No knock on TJ.
We can't rock with TJ only, though, or TJ and like a bona fide backup. Like, you need someone that can push TJ, and if he wins out, he wins out.
Yep. We had a nice pipeline of recruits from Louisiana in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
I think Childs will be just fine. I like our former Green Bay quarterback. Didn't think he had competition, so he acted like an idiot. He could have sent his team in a positive direction. I don't know what that's supposed to mean. Like our former.
I think it's supposed to say QB, and he's referencing Patrick Mahomes or Dylan Raiola.
Don't you dare say that name. I just like. Let's see. I am here. What's going on? Appreciate you being here. Didn't see my notification until now. Go Big Red. Childs could really be a great guy for TJ to compete with. And again, the offense can kind of stay similar. It's one of those things where it's like if you get a guy who's mobile like TJ, you can run the offense with seamless if one of the guys goes down.
Unlike USC.
What's the fascination? $2 million for a first string bench warmer. It's about the going price of an average quarterback these days. To be completely honest.
I'm curious who like the top FCS guys or like the top group of 4 guys. I wonder how much they're going to get. Like Caden Hauser is probably a top 5 group of 4 quarterback. I'm curious what his market value is.
It's a good question.
I guess it's $2 million.
Huh?
I'd guess it's $2 million.
I was thinking 1.5, but even then I don't know if that could be way off. 1.52. Yeah. Let's talk just quickly, touch on Elijah Robinson in that situation. Anything on that one?
Yeah, I texted or I was messaging with Caleb, one of our subscribers on Twitter. I think it was like Wednesday or Tuesday last week. And we were going back and forth. And I was like, verbatim, this is what I've been told. I'm trying to think back. I have to pull up the text, but strange situation. Don't get your hopes up. Verbatim was what I was told. Strange situation. Don't get your hopes up. Then later, after it's kind of final, Robinson goes to A&M. It was essentially using Nebraska for leverage. There was no interest for him to actually go to Nebraska. In fact, he doesn't want to reunite with Coach Rule. He just used Nebraska as a leverage play to go back to A&M to get more money.
Which hurts.
Which is a sad reality of where we are as a program.
It really hurts to hear that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but also, where the hell do we go now? Because
that was my next question. Where do we turn from here?
My initial thought was David Losey, the current D-line coach at San Diego State. But also, wouldn't he have been announced already? Hey, he's going to be the new D-tackle coach. He's coming over after their bowl game.
I was hoping we would have somebody to pivot to quickly.
Yeah. Based on how every other hire's gone, it's been a very quick new coach to be announced. I mean, even your defensive coordinator was hired in 6 days. Your offensive line coach was hired in 6 seconds.
Yeah.
So to me, it seems like they thought they had Elijah Robinson, and then he just kind of
that means
exploited Nebraska.
They were duped. They got
for the 3rd time by him.
Yikes. Let's just not take the tread on those tires anymore. Imagine Berrymon and Terry for the next 4 years on D-line. Talk about
D-line. 640 pounds of man. That's in 2 positions.
The USF quarterback's hitting the portal. I like him better than Childs.
He'll command $5 million and he'll go to Auburn, but
he's going to be a lot.
Why not try?
Yeah, it's going to cost a lot. I like our tackle depth. When some of these prospects do arrive, hopefully not back to the NFL assistant route for the D-line coach. If they do, they better have some experience in college recruiting.
Well, here's my concern. We had someone call in, I think it was Mike on Friday, and he brought up the comment or the quote from Coach Rule, and he said something to the extent of, well, we'll wait until after the bowl game. I took it as like they probably are vetting guys up until the bowl game. They'll make their decision afterwards.
Yep.
But some people have taken it as we're just going to kind of push it to the side and wait until after the bowl game. And either way, to me, is a concern because you need a dude here now.
You have to get one. Yeah, you have to at least try. Yeah.
The portal is open. I don't care about January 2nd. The portal's open.
Yep. It's one of those things where it's like the bowl game should not hold you back from any of this. You should operate as if it was your off season right now.
Yeah.
Because it is.
And if that's your thought process, why did you hire a DC so quickly? Why did you hire an O-line coach, actually 2 O-line coaches so quickly? Why did you hire an edge coach so quickly?
Yep.
So also reading between the lines, it kind of tells me they got duped by Robinson. They don't have a backup plan.
They don't know where to go from here.
Yeah. And so now they're vetting candidates again.
What a great place to be in. But
and
might still get Dylan Berrymon.
Oh,
which is kind of crazy. All right. Well, anything else before we go ahead and wrap up here?
No. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Yes.
Happy New Year. We got a bowl game next week. So is the game on Tuesday?
Good question.
Now that I'm thinking about it, it's Tuesday, right? Or Wednesday?
Wednesday.
Okay. So we can do like a preview Tuesday.
Yeah, thank God it's on a Wednesday because Tuesday at work. So yeah.
Tuesday we'll do a preview.
Let's do
Wednesday we'll do a post game.
Tuesday we'll do a preview. Wednesday post game, and then of course we'll be bringing you updates hopefully about the D-line pivot wherever that ends up, and hopefully some news of recruits. Like Brian said, he's making some videos on some recruits. So y'all stay tuned for that. But yes, Merry Christmas to everybody. Again, I'm sorry for my moving around. I'm about to go get some medication for my nerve here because I am in pain. So I appreciate y'all sticking with me, squirming around in my seat like a I can't say that. I think I'm gonna get us demonetized. So thank you everybody. If you didn't get to see our cool intro, go ahead and rewind it to the beginning so you can check. Actually, you're gonna see it on the way out.
Yeah, you'll see it on the way out.
You'll see it on the way out. Merry Christmas, all. Hey, no one's dumber than Nebraska, but it's family. Merry Christmas to everyone. Christmas trees. Jesus Christ is King. Is that camels?
Reindeer.
Oh, it looks like camels on my screen. I'm like, that's interesting for Christmas. Good evening, everyone. All right, appreciate it, everybody. Thank you again for tuning in. And with that being said, we will see you on the next video. Peace.